dog stopped obnoxiously drinking water as we started. So today we got Gabe Glasser. Gabe, thank you for joining us. This is
My
going to be more
pleasure.
so for, yeah, man. So this is going to be more so for people who are looking to get into the SaaS sales world or just SaaS in general. So Gabe is a lead development representative at PandaDoc. It's about 5 months into his experience there now. And it's kind of focusing now on going into the partner-based side. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So Brandy, I'll let you take over for the initial questions here.
Yeah, so Gabe, can you just give us the brief story of how you wound up here at your position at PandaDoc?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start college. That seems like a good time to start. So in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I'm a lot clearer now, but still not 100% clear. I'm still kind of charting my path, but I never thought I would work in technology or anything technical because I was never like into coding or anything. I got my degree in religious studies because that's what was really piquing my interest at the time. I loved history and philosophy, religion. So come out of college, obviously can't get a good job with that degree. So I painted houses for a bit. Definitely not something I wanted to keep doing long term. Um, so then through a friend, I got into the wine industry. So I'm from Oregon. There's a lot of winemaking here. So I started out working harvest, like making wine, and then I got into the distribution and sales side of it. So for almost 2 years, I worked in sales and distribution for a really small wine distributor that just worked with one producer. So that was definitely my introduction to sales. Um, I would uh, manage these accounts, grocery stores, bottle shops, restaurants. Um, and that's where I really just learned about the customer experience, customer service, um, the importance of, you know, keeping up contact with someone as opposed to just like letting things fall through, and being a friendly face, and how much that means in business, because you're really dealing with people. You're not just dealing with numbers and people, on the other side of the phone. So yeah, that was a really good experience, and I feel like that really primed me to um, at least be somewhat comfortable starting my role here, because it was somewhat similar in that a lot of my job here is making sure people are understanding their problems and understanding what I have to offer, and seeing if those can fit together to create value for both of us. So yeah, so after working in the wine industry for a little over probably 2 years total, um, I realized this was not something I wanted to do long term. I couldn't really sustain myself on the income I was making. So I realized I wanted to get into an industry that was more lucrative and that would kind of like challenge me a little more. So I heard about this program Praxis through my cousin who had gone through it, and he had actually worked at PandaDoc through Praxis. So I did the Praxis program, and I actually had no specific goal of like working at PandaDoc because my cousin did. It just so happened that at the end of the program, when you're getting selected, or like the job finding part at the end, I got an offer from. I got called by a nice man named Jan Acklin, and yeah, that's how I got the job. So um, yeah, working at PandaDoc is so unlike any other job experience I've ever had. Just like the caliber of the culture of the company, the integrity that everyone has, and it's just like everyone at PandaDoc just like so wants to be here. And I've never felt that at any other job. Like there's no one like grumbling like, oh, I have to work for the man today or whatever, like complaining. Like everyone very much wants to be here. And everyone, upper leadership does such a good job of getting everyone on the same page, understand what we're doing, and understanding what the company is achieving on a regular basis and where we want to go. And that just gets everyone fired up and aligned with the same vision in mind. So it's super
Yeah, man,
exciting.
for
And
sure.
yeah, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things, and just kind of touching on what you said about what you're doing in different industries, or you didn't know where you might want to go. I think that's a common struggle with a lot of people that they might kind of brush under the rug is, okay, I'm in a different industry. I don't like what I'm doing. I want to try something new. So good for you for taking that initiative and trying to change things up. For Praxis, you did a little description on Praxis. I think that's a great program, and I'd say I'm a little bit biased because people on my team that report to me, all of them have done Praxis, and it seems like they create, that truly like meaningful experience or teach you how to, get into a new career, like valuable stuff, not just a typical, 3 different math courses or taking history classes that you don't necessarily need. But as far as the leadership thing goes too, I agree with you there. I think, especially being work from home, it's kind of hard with miscommunication sometimes, but definitely some things that make it a much better company to work for. So glad you feel that way too.
Yeah, I would also say, like, how do you feel being very new to this industry? So your job might not be top of the totem pole. Do you still feel like what you do matters every day?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it can be easy to like lose the context or the perspective of what you're doing when you have a job like mine that's kind of, so I'm enriching data. Not saying it's like a bad job by any means, but um, stuff where, you're not like seeing huge, glorious like victories every day. But at a company like PandaDoc, you definitely see your impact. Um, so yeah, I mean, I do see my impact for sure. So, the lists that I'm enriching, I see those deals closing that I added those contacts, and that's a good feeling. Like it's a small part of it, but um, yeah, it's a it's a necessary position and feels good to do it.
Yeah, I think that's so important for especially people who are just starting out in any industry, but especially starting a new career, whether you're just out of school, high school, college, whatever. It's important to feel like what you're doing matters, and I feel like a lot of people allow that to not occur when they first start because they're like, oh, it's the grind. You just kind of have to put your nose down and get to work and work your way up the ladder. And from what it sounds like your experience, like this is the much preferable way where you feel like you're still contributing and you're growing in the company as well. It's like everybody matters. That job doesn't exist just because the job exists because of a need,
Hmm.
and you're there filling that need, which reaps rewards, and you get to see those rewards happen like that.
Hmm.
That is a huge motivator for meaning in work.
Yeah, I'd say
One of
one
the
of the
cool,
biggest. Sorry.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Gabe.
One of the biggest learning experiences I've had so far working here, just in a broad sense, is PandaDoc like really likes everybody to have visibility into the whole company and just how everything works together. And I've realized that, a company is like this incredibly complex machine and all parts need to be working together. And having that visibility really makes you realize like, yeah, my job does matter. Like if I didn't do my job, like the SDRs uh, would have to spend so much time doing outbound and prospecting. Like they wouldn't have these big lists of these contacts to call. And I do outreach myself inbound, and yeah, it feels good to see in that sales wins channel like a deal that someone I talked to, even if they called me, um, that I set them up with the AE, and then I made the company and that AE some good money, and it definitely feels good, and it's good to have that visibility to keep you in a good perspective.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think one of the cool things too is, coming into a company like this, or just switching to sales in general, a lot of times you really start at the bottom and people either take advantage of you, they don't really care about you, they just kind of use you in a way. But at PandaDoc, it's really entry level position is really showing you the ropes, and you're actually doing stuff that people in other departments are already doing. So it's not really
Yeah.
that, it could be
You're not
tedious
just
at
like
times
getting
maybe, but you're
coffee.
learning. Yeah, you're not making coffee runs for people. You're doing stuff that you're ultimately learning that's going to help transition you into your next position. So yeah, man.
Yeah, like even like this might be one of the most entry level positions in the company, but I still have skin in the game, and my failures are still going to harm the company, and my successes are still going to make the company money. Like that's the bottom line, and that's a cool feeling at a company like PandaDoc. Like I'm not on the bench, just
Yeah.
because I'm an entry level worker.
Yeah, you get your swings in, man.
Hmm.
Um, Something you brought up earlier made me a little bit curious. You had mentioned that you've never thought you would end up in tech because you didn't know how to code. That is something that I actually like thought at one point as well. What was the experience of you coming to this company and learning what the tech SaaS industry actually is? What did you expect, and how is that different?
Yeah, so um, I don't really know what I expected, but definitely I realized that it's a lot more accessible than I think most people think. Like not everyone, it's only a small group of people that are programmers or developers at PandaDoc and at most SaaS startups, I assume. Um, there's roles that anyone can learn. There's different skills, so it's just a matter of deciding what skill you want to go after, and you'd be surprised how many of those skills are really accessible, and like you can start to learn them pretty quickly, like sales, for example.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So just a question for you. If someone you know or someone you just met mentioned that they might want to make that, career path switch, whether it's SaaS sales, SaaS in general, what would you tell them? I know personally for me, I would tell them kind of similar to what you guys were saying. You don't have to be a programmer or coder. There's so many startup companies, just so many SaaS companies with many options within those. So, say you just met me and I said, "Oh, you work in software. That's cool. I don't really code or anything, but I heard it's a good, industry to be in." What would you say to me?
Specifically into SaaS sales.
Yeah, let's just say, I want to, yeah, let's just say I like sales, thought about getting in the
Hmm.
software world, or maybe an advice you'd offer to someone who just wants to get into SaaS, maybe not sales, maybe they want to
Okay.
do customer support or something. What would you
Hmm.
tell me?
I would say like because it's kind of a broad, I just want to go into this industry. I would say like just learn to like it's like an attitude thing. I think working at a startup, especially a tech startup, is like you have to have a certain attitude. Um, and that is that like you have to accept that you're constantly going to be uh, butting up against problems, and you're going to have roadblocks, and like it's not like a normal job or a job at a bigger company where the processes and everything is like so developed, and it's like, okay, you just do this and do this from 9 to 5, this task. Like my job is changing every week. Like I'm not doing the same stuff this week I was doing the last week. It's really hard to tell someone like if someone asks like what do you do, there's like 5 things. They're all kind of in the same vein, but that's what I would tell someone is like you need to be comfortable with, you need to become adaptable, and you need to realize that like um, you're going to have to think on your feet. You're going to have to learn to become a problem solver and a solutions oriented person. When there's a problem, you're not just like come to your boss like, I don't know how to do this, like I can't do this, you know. Like obviously it's okay to ask for help if you don't understand something, but you need to learn to be the type of person that's like, even even if you're not even if you're at an entry level role, to like, how do I solve this problem myself? Like, can I use all the resources available to me to learn how to do this myself before I go and ask for help? And that'll, having that attitude will take you really far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. I think for someone who's never been in the startup world or SaaS, things change so fast because you have, different competitors, or you want to upgrade your product, your pricing, or all of those at the same time. So it's one of those things where you just have to adapt. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to, think outside the box sometimes. But definitely, if you're able to do that, or you're willing to try at least, you're definitely going to advance very quickly in your career.
Yeah.
Gabe, can you tell us about one, I like to call it a grand failure, that's happened to you since you started this new role at PandaDoc?
Okay.
Be honest.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. Grand failure, I think of like something that had like huge repercussions for the business. I wouldn't say that I have
Accidentally
so
set the
much.
office on fire,
Yeah.
something like that.
So there's one funny story, which is kind of like, you mentioned that, like destroying the office. So my first week at the St. Pete office, I broke the bathroom stall door off the wall. Uh,
Make sure you
I
put that
was,
into context, because I don't think it was out of
yeah.
anger.
So yeah, the hinges were old and it was just a coincidence. I just opened the door and it literally just fell off, and like poofs of drywall dust just like went up in the air. It's pretty funny, but yeah, my I wouldn't say I have like so much responsibility where like me screwing up is gonna like have such huge repercussions on the business at this point, but I would say the moment that maybe I could call a failure or just like an embarrassing mistake I made was, so in Slack, we have all these different channels, and I was dealing with a prospect and they were asking about phone support. And just like I said before, like you need to learn how to solve problems on yourself before going and asking someone. I hadn't really like internalized that yet. And it's a very simple question. Do you have phone support? And so easily could have found that out on my own. But instead, I searched in the Slack channels for like a support channel. I thought I was being like very resourceful, like, oh, I'm going to find the right channel and I'm going to ask this question to the right channel and my question's going to get answered. And people are going to be like, oh, you're so, you're so resourceful. You found the right channel and stuff. And so I found this channel. It was like, I forgot what it was called, but I posted this question there. I'm like, do we have phone support? And about 10 seconds later, I get a DM from someone and they're like, hey, like just to let you know, this is like a channel for really high value like support tickets that are being escalated straight to our like product developers. And this channel is like exclusively for the highest paid brains at the whole company to deal with like very technical support things that are like very time sensitive. And I just like blundered in there and I'm like, do we have phone support? And like, and yeah, I was just like, oh my God, I just like felt so stupid.
No, man,
Aw.
when you're new, you just don't know. But
Yeah,
I give you props for trying to find out. But I wouldn't call that too bad of a mistake. You didn't hurt anyone. But
yeah,
if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. So I think you
yeah,
you got
definitely.
away with that one. But that wasn't the same time you ripped the door off the wall, right? Which we don't condone, by the way. So if
All
you
in
do
one
that,
day.
don't come at
No,
us.
not
Yeah, it
the
was an
same day.
eventful day. That's good. Yeah, spread out the mistakes a little bit.
So then can you tell us about one success you've had that sort of sticks with you? It could be big or small, whatever, just sort of like you think of and you're like, yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, so one thing that comes to mind is I've been dealing with this project that should have been like a kind of a quick and easy thing to get behind us so we can move forward. Um, it involved a lot of backlogged data uh, that we needed to catch up with and process through like an order form thing. I won't get into it too much. I already am, but uh, basically it became like a huge headache, and we realized there were all these issues that we hadn't anticipated, and it had gone on for like 3 months when it should have taken like 2 weeks. And I really didn't understand the problem um, myself, but I kind of like, I would say I felt like a success because I really like dove headfirst into trying to solve the problem. I took initiative and reached out to people, connected people, um, and yeah, and I was kind of recognized for that a little bit. Like I really like the way you took charge of this, and that made me feel good because that's something I wasn't asked to do. Um, I wasn't in the authoritative position on that project, but I just kind of like took took it on myself to like try and work things out, and I was recognized for that, and that felt like a pretty big success for me.
Yeah, that's awesome,
Nice.
man. I think it's good when you don't know the answer to something sometimes to go through people. I know it can be kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, but along the way you meet people, you kind of you learn more about what they do. So definitely, man, that's good stuff.
Hmm.
Also, because as like someone in an entry level position, you're constantly trying to do things. If I mean, if you want to move up, you're constantly trying to do things to make an impression, make an impact, and you might not have the most authoritative say. You're just kind of like stumbling along, doing the best you possibly can to prove that you can create value. And it sounds like in this situation, it really worked out for you. Like you got just the recognition that makes you feel so good that, oh, I tried really hard and someone noticed, but also that it was
Hmm.
actually helpful, which is sometimes even better than just the recognition because you know that you created value for the company and that's gonna be an asset to you going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, especially at a company like PandaDoc, it's really valuable to have yourself be noticed in that way by your managers and stuff. So that definitely felt like a success for me.
Nice. Um, so I have one final question for you on my end. And well, yeah, I guess it's a question. It has a question mark on it. So if you could give us, oh no, we got the 10-minute alarm. Oh God. If you could give us just one piece of actionable advice that someone could like put into practice right now today to become better at sales, what would it be?
Yeah. Become very intentional with your speech. So I used to not be like this, and I'm still working on it, but I used to like not have so much alignment between my thoughts and my words. I would just kind of like, here's kind of what I want to say, and I would like start talking and like blunder through it. I would say work on just like knowing what you want to say and then just clearly stating it and being confident in that. Like one small thing I notice with a lot of people is they'll say something that like they believe in deeply, or um, some perspective that it's really unique to them, that's like really valuable for other people to hear, and then right when they're done they'll be like, I don't know. It's like, no, you do know, you definitely know, that's why you just said that with such authority. So just things like that, like just be okay with like saying your own thoughts, and uh yeah, speaking with confidence and speaking with clarity and intention, I think will take you a long way in sales, because our voice is kind of the main tool that we're using.
Yeah, man, tone and confidence are definitely big. And you got to be confident in what you're selling too. And if you're not, if you feel like you're selling, a junk product, I would recommend, going somewhere else. But like we talked about last week with Jed, it helps knowing that we have a good product. So when you're on the phone, like you are truly helping these people. It's not slimy tactics. You're just figuring out, what their pain might be or what they're looking for, and you're trying to help them find a solution. So definitely no reason not to be confident, but easier said than done. Sometimes it's easy to get nervous on the phones, but
Yeah.
practice, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, it really is just about practice.
So yeah, is there anything you wanted to ask Randy? Any other questions or anything that you wanted to discuss, Gabe?
Not on my end. I think I'm good. This was really fun though, Gabe. Thanks for agreeing to come on.
Yeah,
today.
man. Thanks for coming on.